everyone, it's Kate from the Fold Line. I'm back this week to talk new sewing pattern releases for May. It was an absolute bumper month of releases from the indie pattern designers. So make sure you go and check out the blog post, which is linked below, because there are so many designs this month. I couldn't believe how many there are. So I've got 7 to talk you through, 7 of sort of my favourite ones from the month, and then all the rest are in a blog post so you can go and have a look and find something amazing to make this summer. So I'm going to get cracking. The first pattern I've got to talk to you about is the Anthea blouse and dress from Anna Allen. This comes in sizes 6 to 24. This is really fantastic. I absolutely love this. If you're looking for something simple and kind of loose, it's quite warm in the UK this week, so if you're thinking sort of summery dress, I think this is a really nice option. It's very simple in terms of the construction. So, button down front, round neck. The big thing about this pattern is the sleeve. It's got this big statement sleeve. The dress version is essentially just an extension of the blouse. So it's very loose fitting. There aren't any bust darts on this, and it's got an optional sort of waist tie for the dress version that you can just, cinch it in at the waist. I think it's a really fantastic pattern. I think you could get a lot of use out of it, and I think also you could it's quite a good sort of, when September comes and it's quite it's sometimes warmer than you think it's going to be. I think it's a great pattern for spring, and it's a great pattern for sort of the end of the summer, and within the British weather it's probably going to be chilly. So I thought this was a really nice pattern, and a good kind of simple, not too tricky for those of you who are sort of in the more beginner camp. The next pattern I've got to talk to you about is a new designer we've got on the site, and they're really worth checking out because their concept behind their patterns are really interesting. So this is called Shirt to Stockbridge Top from Greyfires and Grace, and their I guess USP with their sewing patterns is that they're really into sustainability, and quite a few of their patterns are based on, and this is one of them, are based on using another item of clothing to refashion it into this pattern. So for example, this one, the Shirt to Stockbridge Top, this is designed using an old shirt that you cut up and use some of the features on the shirt that are already there, add different features to make into this amazing blouse, which is a really interesting idea, and a lot of her other patterns have this as well. So you can use old existing things, especially if you're more in, again, slightly more beginner camp, means you don't have to do any of the buttonholes, the placket, some of those more tricky bits you won't have to do because they already exist, they're already existing. So the pattern pieces are designed with this in mind, so they are cut so that they're, you're using old shirts. And I just think it's a really great idea, because especially in charity shops, shirts are something there are millions of, and it's a really nice way to reuse them. So this pattern comes in sizes 8 to 20. There are lots of variations with this, so it's really nice. You really can make it your own. Let's have a look. There are kind of different things that you can do with, you can do stuff with the cuff, you can do stuff with the placket. It's a really interesting way of working, and yeah, so go and have a look at them, because it explains it in much more detail on the product page, and you can see sort of how it works. But there's some, I just thought it might be a really fun thing to do, with the weekend. And I'm sure if any of you have got either an old shirt, or your husband or partner or friend has got an old shirt kicking around that they're not using anymore, that you could kind of test it out on. So next up we have got the Walla Jumpsuit from Make with Mandy. This comes in sizes 6 to 26. I absolutely adore this. It's really simple as well, so it looks more complicated than it is, and it's a lovely shape and perfect for this type of weather. So jumpsuit, V-neck, button down to the waist. Then the waist, you can see from it, there's a channel sewn into it which is elasticated, which means that adds all of the kind of shaping around your waist, but also gives you a bit of kind of breathability. It will stretch with you. Pockets, ever so slightly tapered trouser, not straight cut, very slightly tapered. Just a really lovely shape. I think if you spend a bit of time getting the fit of this right, I think you'll make this every year. And she's made it, you can see it here, it looks like a really lovely sort of viscose fabric, or linen would look amazing in this. But yeah, lovely casual jumpsuit that isn't too tricky. And yeah, I'm really chuffed with this. I love it. So next up I've got, now I don't usually do this, but there were two really great designs. I've got two patterns from the same designer, but they were both so good that I just couldn't not include them. So the first one is the Arthur pants from So Liberated. This comes in sizes 6 to 30. I adore these. They're really interesting shape. To be honest, when I first saw them, I wasn't 100% sure about them. I was like, oh, you know, are they a bit, because they're quite, well, I'll show you a picture of them, you can see. They're quite an exaggerated shape. So let's talk about the sort of shape of them. So there are two options. You can either go for a sort of elasticated waist, or you can go for a waistband with quite big pleats. The thing that makes them interesting in terms of the cut is that the side seam is curved. So it creates this sort of kind of balloon, not balloon shape, but you know, slight more exaggerated curve on the outside leg of the trouser, which I haven't really seen before in an indie pattern. It's an interesting sort of look. But you guys love them. Like we've sold so many and everyone is really into them, and I've seen loads of them on Instagram, and I can totally see why. They're a really good versatile trouser, especially for summer if you're looking for something. I love the concept that you can use if you're feeling like you're not ready to take on the fly and waistband on a trouser, which is a much more complicated make. There is a elasticated waist option, which is great. It's got a really good size range. It's just, yeah, it's just really cool. It's very cool. I really like it. And also the even the one that's got the sort of fly waist at the front, it's elasticated at the back, so that adds a lot of help in terms of shaping and fit for any of us who have got, you know, sort of bigger hips and smaller waist. That makes fitting so much easier and so much more comfortable to wear as well. So it gives a bit with you as you go out, you know, throughout the day. You expand and get, you know, as you eat your breakfast and your lunch, you know, you're getting a little bit bigger each throughout the day. So this sort of expands and contracts with you. Yes, so absolutely love that. The other pattern that I've got from So Liberated is the Penny Pinafore, and this comes in sizes 6 to 34. Sorry about that. I adore this. I will say that they've also released a dungaree version of this, which is very similar, but I wasn't allowed to talk about all of the patterns that she released this month. So if you like this, there's a dungaree version of it as well. I think this is a fantastic dress. I think it's really interesting. I love the concept that it can be worn as dress on its own, or it can be layered with other things. I think that's a really interesting concept. And she does this quite a lot with her patterns where she's got layering. It's quite interesting. So definitely go and, if you haven't come across So Liberated patterns before, go and have a look. She's got some really interesting patterns. So this one, very simple shape, almost looks like an apron from the front in terms of the kind of shape of it. The back is where all the interest has got going, kind of the interest is. So it's got a crossover back, and it's got this swooping sort of back of the dress with which kind of put, what's the word? So it's got a curved seam at the bottom with a channel running through it, which has got a tie. So it's kind of bunched up at the back, and then you tie it at whatever kind of tightness you want to wear. So it means it's really kind of light and loose fitting. And she's styled quite a lot of them almost as like a kind of overdress. I just think it's really interesting, and loads of people are absolutely loving it. It's got these really interesting pleated pockets as well. There's just lots of good details on this, so I thought this was a really interesting one and definitely worth going and having a look at. Next up, we've got a really lovely simple pattern which I thought I'd share with you, because I know quite a lot of people at the moment have sort of lost their sojo and looking for a nice simple project to kind of get back into it. So the Phoebe top from Tammy Handmade. This comes in sizes 6 to 24. Super simple, but really nice shape. So it's sort of an oversized V-neck t-shirt, but it's using a woven fabric. It's got slightly dropped sleeves, which are quite kind of wide, so they would be much easier for putting them in. Great pattern for a beginner, just a lovely simple shape. So if you're looking for something to throw on over a pair of jeans, I thought this would be a really nice option. And you can make this in loads of different fabrics and it would look totally different. You can see the pink that she's wearing, that's double gauze, but you could make it in something like a viscose or anything that was got more drape, and it would look quite dressy. So I thought that was a really good option, really nice to have something nice and simple to sew. The last pattern that I've got is the Edith smock from Pattern Union. This comes in sizes 4 to 24, sorry. I absolutely adore this. So it's I think there's 2 versions of this. There's a top and a dress. Yes, there are, but there are really interesting details in it. So I'll show you the picture. It's got this interesting sort of V-neck with a slight squaring off neckline. It's got some smocking at the front, big waistband, which I really like the kind of detail on the waistband, and then a frill at the bottom. So there's quite a lot going on. If you haven't done loads of gathering before or smocking, smocking, that's not the right word, shearing, sorry, apologies. It's just really interesting. I think it will be, you'd learn quite a lot when you do it. It's just lovely. So I'll pop the line drawing up so you can have a look, because it's got a lovely big sleeve with a tab on it. There's pockets, and there's lots of things that you can either put on and leave off. And I really like the detail that she's put some embroidery on the around the neckline as well, which I think is really interesting. So they're definitely worth having a look at, because you get 1, 2, 3, like 4 variations with the pattern, so it's quite a good value for money. Yeah, go and have a look, because it's a really good one. So that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back soon with another video, and yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.